Now, missing information returns can cause a mismatch at the IRS, delaying refunds because the agency can't verify details on a taxpayer returns. While the eventual consequences of the decision are unknown, tax professionals have long complained about the stream of automated IRS notices, with limited options to reach the agency. Although the IRS halted more than a dozen types of automated notices in February, tax professionals said that the constant correspondence is still creating headaches for taxpayers and advisors. So folks, we have a ton of good news about the fourth stimulus check, Social Security benefits, SSI, and SSDI. Be sure to continue watching this video because you definitely don't want to miss out on it. So everybody, lawmakers are finally taking action for the American people. Congress has confirmed that Americans in 43 states eligible for more stimulus money right now can receive it. So homeowners throughout the country could be eligible for additional financial aid now under the Homeowner Assistance Fund. According to the Treasury Department, the purpose of the Homeowners Assistance Fund is to prevent mortgage delinquencies and defaults, foreclosures, loss of utility services, and displacement of homeowners experiencing financial hardship after January 21st, 2020. Homeowners can use these funds to help pay for mortgage payments, insurance, and other purposes. The Treasury Department has said in an official statement that the law prioritizes funds for homeowners who have experienced the greatest hardships, leveraging local and national income indicators to maximize the impact. While homeowner assistance funds are not the same as the 3 stimulus checks that the U.S. has rolled out since the start of the crisis, they were allocated as part of President Biden's sweeping stimulus package. The American Rescue Plan, nearly $10 billion, was set aside for the fund. The amount of funds that has been allocated to each participant has varied, but each of the U.S. states, the District of Columbia, and Puerto Rico were all provided with a minimum of $50 million apiece. Now, internet access has become a necessity utility for work, school, and healthcare. Now, unfortunately, access to information remains out of reach for many people due to rising costs. Now, taxpayers awaiting refunds from the IRS may find some solace in knowing that they'll earn 4% interest on payments from the IRS that are behind 45 days or more. That's more than double what savings accounts and more money market funds currently fetch. The IRS began this year the tax filing season with a backlog of 8 million individual and business returns from the previous year. As of late, the agency has had a total of more than 15 million unprocessed individual returns from the last tax year in 2020. Americans may have scrambled to file the returns by the April 18th deadline after 2 years, in which the IRS extended the tax filing deadline because of the crisis. Under the tax code, interest begins occurring 45 days after the mid-April deadline. That means during those years when taxpayers were granted extensions, the IRS had to issue interest payments on refunds, covering periods ahead of when the refunds were technically due. Those extra dollars added up to the IRS paying $3.3 billion in interest to tax filers in fiscal 2021, a number that's more than tripled since 2021. Still, for those whose refunds are delayed, a longer wait will likely be rewarded with the government paying an even higher rate of interest, adjusted quarterly and tied to short-term interest rates. Folks, if you guys found this video useful and helpful, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and comment down below.
And it is a serious problem for lower middle income and poor Americans. For upper middle income and higher Americans, this inflation led by gasoline prices may cause them to have to choose between Amazon Prime and Netflix. But for our less fortunate Americans, it's a choice between filling up their car or paying their rent or buying the food. It's no mystery why we're having this inflation in gasoline. When your demand remains constant or it increases and your supply shrinks, you're going to see price increases every single time. Why is supply shrinking? Well, I think the main reason, there are other reasons, but I think the main reason has to do with
The IRS has 45 days after a return is filed to process it and pay out a refund, after which the IRS agency has to pay interest. As of April 1st, the interest rate for individual filers, which tied to the Federal Reserve's benchmark rate, which ticked up from 3 to 4%, with the IRS sitting on a massive backlog of millions of returns, and that extra point could amount to a big chunk of cash for the Treasury. And not only that, folks, but listen to this. Interest payments may just be a drop in the bucket for the millions of people still waiting on tax refunds. Last week, the IRS disclosed it had a backlog of 9.6 million unprocessed returns. It did not specify how many of those were at the 45-day mark, but said the number includes returns received before 2022. Another reason the interest payments are getting larger is because of the extensions granted by President Biden in 2021. While taxpayers were allowed to file late, the refund deadline was tied to the original tax day, giving the agency even less time to process a return before interest started occurring. Now, refunds can be an important economic lifeline for taxpayers, especially low-income ones. Filers who were still waiting on 2020 refunds in February told Insider News that without their checks, they were struggling to afford groceries, childcare, and even pay their home bills. Now more than 42 million people in the country rely on SNAP programs to help feed their families. And with SNAP benefits, people can purchase several products. Each fiscal year, the USDA adjusts the SNAP maximum allotments, deductions, and income eligibility standards based on the changes in the cost of living. So Nancy Pelosi, everybody, is finally taking action for the people, and there are now several plans to allocate billions of dollars towards a fourth round of stimulus payments for everybody that needs it. Here's the most important stimulus check and Social Security news that I want you guys to know. Make sure you continue watching this video. You don't want to miss out on this. Pelosi has just told the Biden administration to seek tens of billions of dollars more in emergency crisis relief. She has suggested that it would take more than $40 billion to meet the needs of the people in the larger global community. Now, Joe Biden has asked Congress for $22.5 billion in new funding to fight the ongoing crisis. But folks, that figure was whittled down to just $15.6 billion in the face of Republican opposition, all on Capitol Hill. And earlier today, Pelosi said that even a larger $22.5 billion figure was too small, arguing that it provided relief to only the small part of people. Pelosi told reporters that, "I think they should be double what they asked for, because even when they were asking for $20-some billion, it was only going to get us to June." So do you guys agree with Nancy Pelosi and her belief for more stimulus checks? And most importantly, do you think that Nancy Pelosi will send out more stimulus checks along with President Biden this year? Tell me what you think, folks, in the comments down below. Now, the comments came shortly after Pelosi and the Democratic leaders met together in the Capitol with Biden administration top officials. Now, in seeking $22.5 billion for the crisis relief earlier this month, the Biden administration had said that it would cover the immediate needs of the crisis response over the next few months. This request also proposed that a large bulk of the funding, $4.25 billion exactly, would provide help abroad the State Department and the U.S. Agency for International Development. But Republicans, everybody, have balked at the figure, saying it was both too high and needed to be paid for by spending cuts elsewhere in the budget. And bipartisan negotiators have come to an agreement on the $15.6 billion figure. During an interview today, the Transportation Secretary says that inflation should moderate once supply chains get back to normal. And when asked about the current levels of inflation, the Transportation Secretary told Yahoo News, "I don't think anything is permanent, but I think it's clear that this is a serious economic issue." So the president has been focused on the prices and the effect on Americans for some time. This week, the Biden administration unveiled a new program designed